Hello again, everybody. This is Ed back with another episode of Call Me Mr. Broadstreet. Well, it kind of snuck up on me, believe it or not, but I can't believe that Flaming Pie is 25 years old this year. I can't believe it. It's, just like that, 25 years has gone by. Really just an amazing album. I'm just going to say it right away, an essential album, in my view, of McCartney's entire career. It's definitely on my top five list, no matter what way that list goes. So here you go. I know I'll have posted the pictures before starting this, but there we go. Right here. Flaming Pie. So, 25 years, what can I say? Released in both the US and the UK on May 5th of 1997. It went to number 2 in both countries. Now, the album that kept it out of the top spot in both countries was by the Spice Girls. So, there you go. They were the up-and-coming thing, and I don't think anything was really going to topple them at the top of the charts at that point. But still would have been nice if Paul had hit number 1, at least in the US, if not both the US and the UK with this album. But more to come on that in a later episode. So the album itself, it was produced by Jeff Lynne, and it features also Linda, Ringo, Steve Miller, and George Martin, all on various tracks, not in the entire album. We begin with track 1, the song we were singing, and I just got to tell you, really, it's a great opener. I love the lyrics in this song. For a while, we could sit, smoke a pipe, and discuss all the vast intricacies of life. We could jaw through the night, talk about a range of subjects, anything you like. And then the chorus, but we always came back to the song we were singing at any particular time. This is really Paul and John through and through. This album came after the Beatles anthology. It kind of re-energized Paul. It was both a critical and commercial comeback for Paul, especially in the 90s. But again, just as I'm saying, Paul fucking McCartney is back, man. Just happy to... I was happy. So happy to really get this album. And more on that later. Soaring vocals on this track as well. We get the second track, which is The World Tonight. It's kind of a slow-burning rocker, in my view. It was released as a single in the US, only got to number 64. And I think there's some really good impassioned vocals by Paul on this. Definitely a rocking track. Again, just some great lyrics. A lot of great lyrics on this album. Not that Paul doesn't do great lyrics, but just especially on a great album such as this, on an essential album like this. I saw you sitting at the center of a circle. Everybody wanted something from you. Part of the chorus where he's singing, I go back so far, I'm in front of me. I love that line. Just some great guitar work on this, song. Another great lyric I've always found interesting. I saw you hiding from a flock of paparazzi. You were hoping that the ground would swallow you. I mean, some great imagery here about, living in this world where, people are back and forth and everything, and especially even more so now than 25 years ago. The third track on the album, If You Wanna, that was written during an off day in Minneapolis during the 1993 World Tour. Paul was thinking of a song about driving across America. At the time, Paul's just sitting around in one of the skyscrapers, one of the buildings, kind of waiting for the next show. It's a day off, there's not much to do. This is the first of 3 tracks that Steve Miller appears on. Some nice guitar work by Steve Miller. I'll explain more about the history between Steve Miller and Paul in a few moments with one of the other songs here. We get the next track, Some Days, the 4th track on the album. It's really as unsilly a love song as Paul has ever written. I know a lot of folks, maybe a lot more casual folks, and maybe folks that don't know Paul's career. Oh yeah, it's just silly love songs. No, not in my view, anyways. And according to the liner notes included with the CD, which I have to shout out, well written by Mark Lewison, just really well written liner notes that I absolutely love liner notes with any album. I love the background of the sessions, everything, some insight into the songs. So I just had to take that side detour, not in my notes, but just to mention. I definitely have to mention that in this review. So basically, according to those liner notes, Paul wrote it while driving Linda to a cooking assignment. I guess to promote one of her cooking books. Although later in retrospect, with lyrics such as Some Days I I look into your soul, and really just the feeling of the song, I think it sort of foreshadows, sadly, what was to happen with Linda later on. Really, I don't know if you'd call it a premonition. I'm not sure. I could be reading a lot into it. It was written before they knew about her breast cancer diagnosis. We get the next track on the album, Young Boy, another collaboration with Steve Miller. Now, the history with Paul and Steve Miller is that they first collaborated on the song My Dark Hour. Steve wrote the song and Paul guested on it. I think it's based on the song. I've never heard it myself, to be honest, but back in May of 1969. So kind of like, the Abbey Road era, or just kind of nearly starting Abbey Road, or one of the sessions. Certainly after Get Back, during Abbey Road, let's call it that. Just, the lyrics, very nice, He's just a young boy looking for a way to find love. Though independence means a lot, he's still got to be strong. Just a very positive song. Again, just, great guitar. And Jeff Lynne producing this album. There's really a lot of magic brought out in this. Jeff Lynne had previously produced George Harrison's Cloud 9 album, as well as Time Takes Time with Ringo Starr back in 1992. So Jeff Lynne brought the magic to his production here. And I think that also just adds into a lot of the critical and commercial success for Paul. I think really right producer, right time frame, everything with this album, with this very essential album, extremely essential. And of course, for about the last minute of this particular song, it slows down, and it also almost has a whiter shade of pale vibe to it, kind of the organ work, the organ outro of the song. So just a really cool song. The sixth song is Calico Skies. Now this was performed on past tours. It hasn't been performed lately by Paul on the Got Back tour, at least as of the taping of this video. Hopefully that could change, but it's always been a nice one that he's brought up in concert. It's basically like an acoustic ballad. It feels like it's always a song that's been around and been here in the collective consciousness. This was written during Hurricane Bob in 1991. Paul has a home out on Long Island. They ran out of power. Paul just breaks out the acoustic guitar. This was recorded in September of 1992. It's one of the earliest recordings for what turned out to be Flaming Pie. Again, really nice lyrics. Long live all of us crazy soldiers who were born under calico skies. May we never be called to handle all the weapons of war we despise. So, kind of a bit of maybe sort of a 60s protest, anti-war song in a way. Just a really classic song in a catalog of very classic McCartney songs throughout his career. Flaming Pie, this is just a great nonsensical song. It dates back way farther than you might think. For the more casual fans out there, the story goes something like this. John Lennon was asked by the magazine Mersey Beat in 1961 about the origin of the Beatles' name. This is the early Beatles, even before they were famous and whatnot. John's quote was something like this. It came in a vision. A man appeared on a flaming pie and said unto them, from this day you are Beatles with an A. So again, just the the origins, a funny origin story. Again, just wonderfully absurd lyrics, and the shortest song on the album at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And this really completes the longest time between the start and the end of an Inside Beatles joke. So just a nice little response and callback. I'm sure the anthology brought that up for Paul as well, reliving that when the anthology was issued in 1995 and 1996. Eighth song on the album, Heaven on a Sunday. It's just a wonderful chorus to the song. Again, if I only had one love, yours would be the one I'd choose. That's just a really wonderful chorus to the song that's always stuck out to me when I listen to it. This is the first appearance of Paul's son James on the guitar on a McCartney record. James previously did a short spoken word vocal on 1986's Press to Play. I'm going to cover that in a future review. So just, a little spoiler alert ahead. But this is the first time James and Paul worked together on an album, and James is actually playing an instrument on the album. I mean, hey, you've got Paul as a dad. There's going to be some influence there somewhere. James plays a great guitar solo, actually. It's very reminiscent of David Gilmour on No More Lonely Nights, kind of that screeching guitar solo off of a more kind of mid-tempo mellow song. Really breaks up the song very well. Just a very, wonderful landscape imagery, everything. Sailing, that's kind of what the inspiration of the song is. Have it on a Sunday. Hey, it's a lazy Sunday. You're sailing, you're out, you're enjoying life. Not a care in the world. The ninth track, Used to Be Bad. Now, this is the third and final Paul McCartney and Steve Miller collaboration, at least on the album proper. I'll get to some of the bonus tracks in another review when I do the Flaming Pie archive set. That'll take a little bit longer to get to. It's pleasant, but this is easily the weakest song on the album, in my view. It's kind of like dad rock, specifically if it's your neighbor's dad. You know, they have a garage, it's a Saturday, they're jamming. It's passable, it's even good in some parts, but it just doesn't really move heaven and earth. It doesn't do it for me. You know, it's there, it's nice, but, you know, there's definitely some songs I probably would replace that track with specifically. I'm thinking the Whole Life demo from 1995 off the archive set would have been great in the place of this song. Would have really, that would mean no weak songs of the album, but this is the weakest one in my view, so that's, you know, that's the one I usually tend to kind of skip. Or, I mean, I listen to it, but I'm going, oh, okay. But everything else is just so much better and miles ahead, in my view. We get the 10th track, Souvenir. It's a great bluesy song. Souvenir is really, you know, just, again, it's like just a wonderful bluesy, guitar-based song. This kind of gets things right back on track with the album. Some of the lyrics, if you want me, tell me now. If, you know, if I can be of any help, tell me, you know, how. It's just really some great lyrics in the song. The guitars, when I re-listen to this, they seem a little bit reminiscent of I've Got a Feeling in some spots to me. In some small spots, not a direct copy or direct correlation of. Paul at the time was kind of thinking of Wilson Pickett with this guitar sound. So at the time in the liner notes, he also said he hoped that an R&B singer might cover it. I still hope that, and to be honest, I wish he would play this one live. This is one of the ones I really wish I could hear live in concert. It would be great. It'd be fantastic to hear, in my view. There's also just a very nice little effect at the end. There's a very nice 78 RPM fade-out effect on the record. Really wonderfully done. Track number 11, Little Willow. This is kind of a wonderful and sad ballad. It was meant to bring comfort to close friends. You know, Little Willow was not elaborated on in the liner notes, but it was written later for the children of Ringo's first wife, Maureen, who at that point had recently died of cancer back in the mid-90s. I mean, there's a real Wings quality to the sound, but yeah, you know, cancer, it's a horrible disease. Absolutely horrible, without question. It takes way too much. But we go on to the next track, track number 12, Really Love You. This is co-written with Ringo. So this is one of the few Paul and Ringo co-written songs in the solo era, on a Paul album at least. It's an infectious track, a great groove, it has a jam quality, but this really succeeds where the previous track, Used to Be Bad, fails. It's Paul and Ringo, there's just much more magic in my opinion on this track. There's great drumming by Ringo, nice keyboards on the track itself. Near the halfway point, you hear Paul kind of hit a very high falsetto note, very reminiscent of McCartney too, so just very much that same style. And, you know, just a great groove, great improvisation. And again, Paul's voice, yes, he was still very much in control of a lot of his voice, even at this point. I mean, at this point, he's, about 55 when the album is released. But his vocals were still very, very strong in this album, you know, in my view. So again, just adds more to the essential component of the album. Now, the 13th track, we're getting down to near the end of the album. Beautiful Night. Now, there's a little history behind this song. Beautiful Night, it was originally recorded in August 1986 in New York City with Billy Joel's backing band, minus Billy Joel, and Phil Ramone was producing. There was a time when Paul was in New York at the time promoting the album Press to Play, which had just been released. But I think Paul was looking for some new material, maybe a little bit of a newer direction. They recorded this among a couple of other songs with Phil Ramone producing. That specific version can be heard on the CD single. I think it was for Beautiful Night. Beautiful Night, the CD single, as part of the Ubu Jubu section. Ubu Jubu was basically kind of like a little radio series that Paul did, back in the 90s. That's also included on the deluxe Flaming Pie archive set. I'll get to that in more detail in a later review. And again, the 86 version, it's also released as a standalone track in 2020, but it's a free download on McCartney's website, which is a little gripe I have, to be honest, with some of the archive stuff. Not to get too ahead of myself, but if I'm going to buy the physical set, I want to have the physical set. Again, I'll get to more on that at another point. But just really wonderful song, wonderfully done. So he's re-recording this song about 10 years later versus the original 1986 version. You've got Ringo on backing vocals along with Paul and Linda. At about the 3.5-minute mark, just when you think the song is winding down, there's an up-tempo ending to the song that really brings it out, brings it to a rollicking conclusion. Great song, amazing, wonderful song, great writing, lyrics, imagery, everything just comes together. This is the first recording I'm aware of, basically Paul, Linda, and Ringo on one of Paul's records since, at least officially, since Tug of War in 1982, Pipes of Peace in 1983, and Give My Regards to Broad Street in 1984. There was also some orchestration done by George Martin early in 1997 as they were wrapping up the album. And also just some nice end-of-song banter in the last 15 seconds or so. Just really a nice charm as the outro to the track. Beatles magic, what can I say? That's really my view. We get to the final song, Great Day, 14th and final track. It's just Paul and Linda. This really kind of brings everything full circle from the McCartney album in 1970 to this point in time. The song itself was written initially during the early 1970s, and some really nice lyrics. When you're wide awake, say it for goodness sake. It's going to be a great day. Very positive, just absolute positivity. It's morning, it's breaking. The day is full of possibilities. Just with the album in general, it really feels like Paul and Linda's double fantasy, and all the more poignant given what was happening with Linda at the time. Again, cancer in any form is a very extremely horrible disease. With Linda being diagnosed, she would pass in April of 1998, so she did get to see the release of this album and at least, spend some more time with family and doing what she really loved. My memories of this album, I bought this album either the day it came out or the next day at Best Buy. Back when Best Buy actually had a really decent CDs selection in their stores. Last time I remember they had CDs in the stores in general was probably, up to a couple years ago, maybe 2010s, if I'm being generous. Back in 1997, they had a huge collection of CDs and stuff inside of every Best Buy that I remember. I was still in college at the time. I was near finishing up, about a year away from finishing up. So again, I just remember when they checked, they checked the CD with the receipt when I exited. Not that I'm going to go just running off with my Flaming Pie CD, but I guess I get why they did it. I remember the person remarking at the time, he goes, yeah, a lot of folks were buying the album that day. So he's going, oh yeah, a lot of people coming out with that one. I'm like, yeah, just couldn't wait to, get it home, to listen to it. This has been an essential album in my collection for the past 25 years. I've always enjoyed it. Again, definitely the top 5 of Paul's solo career. Essential. Pick it up right away if you've never heard the album. Give it a shot, give it a chance. I will guarantee that you will enjoy it, and some of Paul's best songwriting. And that's really about it for this episode. So, just as a reminder for folks out there, I hope you're all still enjoying the content. I appreciate the support. And of course, if you could just give a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, I always appreciate it. So until the next review, I hope everybody's still staying safe. And of course, happy Mother's Day to all mothers out there. Mom, happy Mother's Day. Sending a lot of love. That's really it. Until next time. Bye.